I've been covering GameStop and their impending doom for the past year or so, and it seems like every time a new piece of news comes out about GameStop, you wonder, how are they still open? Now, a lot of people may relish the idea of GameStop going away, and that is absolutely their right. But I think my take on GameStop is a little bit different. It's maybe unpopular, but I think losing GameStop will be sad. It will put many, many, many people out of work. It will remove a oasis that I remember taking my girlfriend and now wife, or going to the mall with my parents. GameStop was always an oasis, something like Spencer's Gifts used to be. Yeah. We'll look at your new, old lady support bras and your pantyhose, but you gotta let me go to GameStop. That was for my mom. My wife does not buy. Don't tell my wife I said that. She doesn't buy old lady bras. Granted, I still feel a little weird in Victoria's Secret, so that's when I meander across the hall to GameStop. Now, they continue to lose many, 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 many hundreds of millions of dollars, and they just posted their biggest loss maybe in 15 years, almost $700 million. And, you see thumbnails like this, and I'm not dumping on Inside Gaming, but I don't think, I've gotten older over the years. My hairline has started to go back a little bit more, and I've started to, I feel like, understand a little bit more of the human side of things. Now, we can agree that the old trade in your games at GameStop meme was bad. But I never felt like holding that against GameStop, because by the time I had GameStop, I always had eBay or Facebook, or there were other options to sell your games. Now, I'm not like digging on you if you are angry about getting, quote, ripped off by trading your games in at GameStop, but nobody was forcing you to. And you could have sold them at eBay. It was about convenience. Yes, it was a meme that you would get $10 for a brand new game, or $2 for a game that's 6 months old. But that was what built GameStop up. And over the past few years, obviously, and with the transition now with almost certainly with the PlayStation 5 and Xbox, the latest Xbox console that's name escapes me, trading in games is done. Maybe Nintendo Switch will save GameStop, but everything's digital now. You're buying CD keys and gigantic 60, 70, 80 gigabyte downloads. And it's a sad day. I know I'm older. Everyone lovingly calls me a boomer. But, I miss owning the cartridge. And that type of business model where you traded in games is just over now. And we're talking about an oasis that gamers had in the mall, a spot in town where you could go to. If you didn't have a Walmart, you'd had a midnight release, the event of a new game, a store that has tried and, of course, failed rebranding itself many, many times over the past few years, trying to find a way to turn a profit, whether it's selling trading cards, whether it's selling tchotchke items, blind reveals. They're trying literally everything and anything. You know this. If you've walked, shimmied down the aisles at a GameStop, they packed those stores with so much trash, hoping you'll buy just anything. The reality is the industry has shifted, and people, whether they like it or not, are still forced to download most of their purchases. Now, I, like many of you, still stand tall, and I know even though I don't own it, I still like to have the case. I still like to buy the game, and that's how I will always be. I collect the Nintendo Switch limited run games. I collect NES cartridges off camera there. I like to have the box and the disc, even if it's a PlayStation 4 title or Xbox and you're still downloading 50 gigabyte day one patch and don't really own anything. But GameStop posts a massive loss as pre-owned game sales plummet. Stock hits lowest point since 2005 after $173 million loss. One of the world's biggest video game retailers just announced its worst annual performance in decades, raising renewed questions about the health of video game market as downloadable games continue their ascent. Net sales for GameStop were down 3% for the 52-week period in February 2nd and slid a slide that helped flip last year's modest $34 million profit to a sizable $673 million operating loss. On top of that, the company expects sales to decline another 5 to 10% in the next fiscal year. GameStop's massive loss is the largest ever reported by the company and only the third annual loss since it grew out of the corporate remains of Funko-Land in 2000. GameStop last posted a loss in 2012 when it lost nearly $270 million thanks to weak holiday sales near the end of that era's console generation. And be very clear. Let's be very clear. The rumor is that the PlayStation 5, the new next generation of Microsoft and PlayStation's consoles, will come out later this year, as early as later this year. They're watching their sales of the existing console. They're looking at interest, and they know that there's going to be more and more people sitting on the sidelines waiting to purchase the console as anticipation grows for the new consoles that come out. Now, we'll see with this summer's presentations how close they really are. It is undoubted that the console will come around Christmas time, whether it's this Christmas or next Christmas, I imagine. And to be honest with you, if GameStop doesn't get new consoles this year, I just don't see them making it through Christmas because we're going to have the same recipe for disaster this year. Both consoles are at the end of their lifespan, which is going to push video game sales down. And if there isn't a new console with new exclusives to rush out and buy everybody for Christmas or buy yourself as a Christmas gift, GameStop is going to, I don't know. I mean, they're going to fold. More than that amount. The reason behind the new loss could be cause for long-term concern at the retailer's thousands of worldwide storefronts. Now, that's where the softy Jeremy comes in here and talks about, thousands of storefronts means, you have 5 to 10 employees at every single location. So you have maybe 10, 20,000 employees that are largely, in my experience, gamers. You don't work for the little pay and the working conditions at GameStop unless you love video games. So I look at it like, look, we have tens of thousands of GameStop employees out there that are going to find themselves not only out of a job, but out of their passion, out of an ability to bring new people into video games and to recommend games that maybe you hadn't heard of before. If you remove the video game marketplace, which will happen undoubtedly, it's going to be harder to get recommendations. You're going to rob people of that fun experience of browsing the shelves to look at video games. Yeah, you'll be able to go to Walmart, hoop-de-doo, and then you got to find the one electronics employee in the whole dang 100,000 square foot store who might have a set of keys, and as you mill around for an hour just to look at the back of a single case. While hardware sales were roughly flat, new software sales fell about 4% year over year. Pre-owned software cratered nearly 12% for the year, continuing a years-long slide. GameStop has always relied on the high margins of buying low and selling high used game discs to buoy the otherwise low-margin business. But the rise of downloadable games, which cannot be resold, has taken the wind out of the sails to a large extent. Quote, "We continue to see declines in pre-owned software, reflecting the decline in sales of new physical games and increasing demand for digitally offered products. It's a play we've seen before when digital distribution finally reaches a tipping point, which I believe will be this year, that makes previously strong brick-and-mortar businesses seem largely irrelevant. Tower Records filed for bankruptcy in 2006, decades as the market leader in music. Book-based retailer Borders shut down in 2011, liquidating hundreds of stores as online and ebook competition grew. Gaming retailers may be hitting a similar tipping point as players increasingly just download the games and the content they want. EA has been making a majority of its money from digital sales since 2013 and has been planning to become a 100% digital company for even longer than that. In 2017, Activision revealed that a majority of early console sales for Destiny 2 came as digital downloads and not retail discs, setting a new high watermark for the company. And remember, maybe I'm wrong about the math, Maybe it's so cheap to print a disc, but my assumption is that digital distribution is exceedingly cheaper for distributors. And you know what always irked me is that you didn't get a discount on the product. It's the same price as the store, but you don't even get the box and the disc. Sorry. As for physical goods, the only real bright spot for GameStop in last year was collectibles. That area of the business grew 11%, making the company's 2015 purchase of nerdy collectible store ThinkGeek look somewhat prescient. The loss is the latest bad sign for GameStop after the company announced it had failed to find a buyer in January. Earlier this month, GameStop sold its Spring Mobile cell phone division for $700 million in an attempt to make a remaining company more appealing. GameStop stock was down over 4% in early trading on Wednesday. And when you look at it, obviously when this report dropped, you saw a huge plummet. It's mostly recovered, to be honest with you. It was trading at a whopping $10.37, and it's back over $10 or close to $10 now. But you look at the actual stock websites, GameStop is sinking after company said it won't issue annual earnings guidance. GameStop plunged in pre-market trading on Wednesday after company released fourth quarter results evening prior and said it would not issue annual earnings guidance. The results come a day after the company announced an agreement with activist investors. Yikes. Maybe I'm misunderstanding that term. Shares are trading near a 14-year low. They crashed earlier this year after GameStop's board ended plans to try and sell the company. Shares plunged 13% in pre-market. On Monday, GameStop announced an agreement with two activist investors, Hestia Capital Partners and Permit Capital Funding Enterprise. This would add two new independent investors to its board. So these are people that buy in and they give power. Okay, so it's not the activist I was thinking. GameStop has fallen 20% this year through Thursday's market close. Again, more articles. GameStop needs to step up its game. The stock's recent 5% drop is less of a buying opportunity and more of like one point in a downward trend that shows no sign of changing course. Now, what can we do to save GameStop? Probably nothing. Times, they are a-changin', and just like the closure of Toys R Us, the memories of my childhood will lose another stalwart, whether it be meme-worthy or just you might have good memories, you might have bad memories. Needless to say, I'd say it's kind of a bum feeling to just see these places continue to collapse to the Amazon and digital distribution machine.